welcome back, Joe, the old buddy. You might recognise Joe from our Halloween podcast when we're talking about all things witchy.
Mm-hmm.
And the glutton for punishment that you are, you let me do a second one.
I know.
And you're the first person to have two.
Wow.
What a privilege.
I knew I was special.
It's either a good thing or a really bad thing.
Yeah. Like,
So-
oh no, not her again.
No, but because you've got multiple areas of wisdom to share, and there's it's along the same lines, but a very, very different part of your practice.
Yes.
And obviously it connected really well with the 31st of October to talk about the witch wound and ancestral wounds, and especially as women, about where this comes from and stepping into our power. But I really, really wanted to drill down on slightly more scientific, which might be a bit easier to swallow and easier to kind of get on board with topic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is sound and frequency, which is all tied up in everything we talked about last time. It's one of the tools. It's part of the great fabric of life. You know, it's all everything we do, everything you do, whether you know it or not, is all based around energy. It's all based around energy. We don't move by magic.
We're all vibrating.
We vibrate.
Everything vibrates.
We are all units of light. We're all photons all mingled up together and vibrating at a different frequency, and it's difficult to grasp that concept, but I love it as a topic to study. Oh my God, it's just, I never would have thought that as a kid.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that I would be interested in
The
quantum
science.
physics.
The molecular structure of
Non-linear
things.
dynamics.
Yeah.
But never in a million years. But it wasn't until I got a bit older and I started to, and I guess taking it back to the other topic, when I was trying to make sense of my world and my stuff, and that I'm a pretty, I think of myself as a pretty intelligent, articulate person who has got a good grounding in society and physical reality, and I think most of the time. But I also had this other side of me which was highly, highly intuitive and spiritual, and this kind of, I suppose you would, the word gifts, again, it goes into the woo-woo, but certain things that I thought, this doesn't fit with the narrative that I'm being told, and some of the things that I'm experiencing and working with and feeling instinctively is right for me, doesn't sit with the norm. And I was trying to reconcile with that, which is what has kind of put me on my learning journey from a really early age. I can remember being like 13, 14, pretty much gathering all these books together. And I went through this stage of like the aesthetic, the full, got everything black, and my black lipstick, black nail polish, black trench coat, my whole room. My mum was like, what are you doing? I painted the room black and the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
And everything's candles. Honestly, it was great. I really went through my emo phase before emo was a thing. But like you do, and you can try and explore what is this. And I was reading books about magic and
how's it fitting?
Witchcraft and Wicca and the occult and those different like real creepy things that were obviously deeply concerning to me.
Yeah, probably.
Like dyed my hair purple. My dad's like, oh, it's a phase. Like,
it's really not.
It's really a long phase. But that was all part of my learning journey. And again, trying to walk the line of being the good girl and being corporate and being academic and doing well at school. Being accepted, being validated. And that for me, that women's wound, that witch wound was all the way through my early years and my teens and my 20s and partway into my 30s as well, of like, okay, I don't know whether I might have had this conversation with you already, that I had this kind of realisation that I have to live a double life. That's just the way it is. I'm going to do this and that's it, and that's fine, but I know who I really am, and I will do that in my own time.
Yeah,
even to the point with my kids, like with that, it was only when I started to feel more comfortable in my space, like 10 years ago or so. Like, this is new. I'm like, this isn't new.
I've just hidden it for such a long time.
This is just, and they're cool. Like, and it's great learning for the kids and my community and family, people around me who are, a lot of the time you still get the eye rolls of, oh, she's being wacky again. I'm like, yeah.
But who do they always come to when nothing else works?
Interesting, isn't it? I'm like, okay. Oh, I got a headache. Okay. Can you make me something like medicine? Yeah. Cool. I have everything in the garden. Cool. It's great. It's nice to know that you can be that person, do that stuff. You've got the knowledge and the wisdom, the tools and the skills, that come through from generations before. It's nice to have that. But in terms of learning, it probably coincides, now I'm thinking about it, with being more comfortable in my skin and being able to blend the two and have my actual identity when I started learning about the science. And as soon as I came across some of this stuff, like brilliant pieces of work by medical professionals and people with PhDs and the very credible people, kind of saying exactly what I felt all along. I was like, oh my God, brilliant, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. This makes me feel so much more comfortable in my skin.
And what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's obviously when I started to come across vibrational medicine. I've been a Reiki practitioner since I was 20. So I was already...
So you understand the energy.
I was already working with energy, but it was still very much in that woo-woo, quackery, this is not very credible, it's all placebo effect, doesn't do anything. I'm like, no, it does, I know how it works, it's great. And then I started to learn about the science much later on, connecting the dots. This is powerful stuff, and it's really grounded in a lot of science. So, and that's what fascinates me the most about frequency and sound. And for me, I'm going to ask you in a second to go into detail about how this all works and what you do within your practice, because Joe's sound baths are just another level. But for me, music in our family as well, it's always been medicine. I talk about it all the time. It's the reason we have a Spotify playlist, because music is not just music. It is actual medicine. And you know just by listening to certain songs how it can affect your emotional state. It really is most powerful. And look at gigs where people are together in this energy raised by these beats and these frequencies.
And when you hear a song, it takes you right back to that instant memory, whether you first heard it or something happened that was important with that song, and it's like you're there again. It takes you straight back.
Well, for me, it's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful form of medicine for me and for people that I know and I work with. Music and sound in general is so powerful. And when you've done working in the community, I dragged you in to do some sound healing in really difficult to reach communities that have really significant trauma and lots of challenges. You would never in a million years access that kind of service. Or would never choose to or want to. And there's quite a lot of resistance.
Yeah, there was.
Like, I don't like this, is weird. This is, again, the whole witch room came up, and this is weird, this is like...
Not normal.
What is she doing?
Yeah, what is she?
But within 10 minutes, and after one little session, it's like, oh my God, whatever happened.
The impact that had.
Huge.
And still has every session, and every session's different for every person. And I think that's the beauty of sound. You can go to 5, 6, 7 in a month and have a different experience with a different practitioner that is beneficial to you in some way.
It's never bad.
It's great. It's really, really great.
If you've not experienced anything to do with sound, I just highly recommend wherever you can do. I mean, there's we haven't even talked about this properly yet, but I'm going to link you in with this. One of the specific courses that I've done through Mojo School is around sound. And the sound bath you did in the TP. That's on there. So I want to link you in properly with that, with some proper training, because it's not my modality. I just love it. So, will you give us a little bit of whatever nuggets of wisdom you want to give about sound, whatever you would want people to know about frequency, about sound, about the effect that it can have on your body and on your well-being?
So sound is a great shifter in the sense of the frequency of the sound that's being played or the music that's being played can shift stagnant energy from your body. So if we talk about the chakras quite a bit in energy work, and it's easy to link sound to the chakras. So my bowls, colour-wise, reflect each chakra, and it's easy for me to teach you about that during a sound session. But actually, any bowl that's played can affect any chakra. It doesn't matter. We just explain it that way because it's easy for you to understand. But what it does, it unblocks whatever energetic blocks are being held within your body that you might not even be consciously aware of. So what I find is a lot of people struggle with the throat chakra, because we don't always speak our truth, because we don't want to either hurt somebody's feelings or create a problem because there's something that's annoyed us or something that's unsettled us. We just swallow it down. Whereas having a sound session can bring that up. It can bring it up to the surface. I think for me, how I started on this journey, I was already doing Reiki, and I had a sound bath at a Mind, Body and Spirit fair with my very good friend Andrea Prophet from the Sound Temple, and I thought I was going to die.
So great. It's so profound, isn't it?
And I was crying. My throat was so tight. I had to sit up during the session and give myself Reiki because I thought, what's happening to me?
What's going on?
But it literally blew my head off. And I knew at that was the turning point for me and the catalyst that I thought, I've got to share sound.
You don't expect it to be so powerful.
No,
do you? I
not
think
at
when
all.
you hear, like, you might listen to something, or you might see a picture of somebody with a crystal ball being all wishy-washy and woo-woo, and you're like, oh, those people. You know, like the witches that we don't talk about, all those people. And you don't even, but you have no clue until you've experienced it, the absolute power instantly on your life with those vibrations.
And as well, different instruments will give you different reactions. So drumming is just like,
powerful.
It resonates so much in my heart chakra, the drumming. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before.
So cool,
it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then the gongs. Wow, if you've ever experienced a gong bath, you're like, it's on another level. It's like other, it's like other planetary. It's marvelous, and having all them together and going on a journey. That's basically what it's about. It's about journeying at that time. And sometimes you might lie there and not experience anything other than having a lovely lie down, but subconsciously something is shifting, and that is how sound works. And it also works on a cellular level within our body. So it can repair cells in your body. It can make people's aches and pains go away.
Absolutely.
There's just so much goodness from sound.
It's just nothing bad, is there? Nothing bad that you can think about. And I've had a lot of sound baths now, and I've always had I've never had nothing. I've never had anything. Touch wood. I want to touch wood now. I say. I've never had anything really, like you said, so strong that it's concerned me. It's made me think, oh my gosh, what's going on for me? And maybe that's because before I started with having sound healing, I'd done quite a lot of shadow work, and I think I'd had experiences through that process and doing my shamanic journeying that brought up that kind of experience for me. Maybe that's why, but I've only ever had really, really pleasant experiences with every sound bath, but something different every time. And I can actually feel something. I can't put my finger on what it is, I can't articulate it, but I always feel something, tingles or something just, actually physically feel something. A lot of people just fall asleep, a lot of people won't have anything, they don't feel like there's anything, they just feel great. They might go home and have the best night's sleep they've ever had. I get something that's a lot of feedback. Sleep,
sleep is a big thing, especially because we're all so technology driven at the moment. The way that life is, we're always on our phones, our tablets, our laptops. We're communicating in every which way.
All the time,
Being able to just shut off for 45 minutes to an hour has such a powerful, positive impact on your life and your body. And that's what I say to people, even if you don't have some massive eye-opening awakening, you've still had an hour to lie down, which we just don't get to do.
Yeah, and some cellular repair.
Because even if you do fall asleep and snore all the way through the session, it's still going in. It's still doing its job.
Yeah, it's working on your energy. It's not, and you don't have to participate. It's not like, I mean, I love all kinds of things. I love Qigong, I love yoga, I love all kinds of different things, but you don't have to do anything.
You just lie there and you get all snuggled up with a blanket and a pillow, and you're nice and cozy, and you just lie there.
It's not the same as obviously being in the room and having something done, but I've got one of those snazzy headbands with speakers in it.
Oh yeah.
At part of the night, and I'll just click through YouTube and I'll put on sound baths, gong baths. Oh, amazing.
If you, I'm going to set you a challenge. So if any of you have an ailment of any description, a headache, toothache, backache, there is so many videos on YouTube that will help with that. So depending on the frequency of music that's played can help you with that. So
you can search for that.
Yeah, you can search for it.
Frequencies for pain, frequencies for heart healing.
A story, I was in Barmouth on holiday with the kids. We were in the caravan and Jessie had cracked her tooth in half on a lollipop. Wow. So all her nerve was exposed. It was the middle of the summer holidays. We were in Barmouth. There was no dentist. The hospital, I don't even know where the nearest hospital was. And I thought, how am I going to help this child? Like, she's in pure agony. She was hysterical. And I got her on the bed and I went onto YouTube and I put in sound healing frequencies for toothache, specific toothache. Yeah. And I put the phone next to her head and within 10 minutes she was fast asleep.
Amazing, isn't it? Is that amazing? It really is.
It was so powerful. It just calmed her down and it took the pain away. And when she woke up, she was all right. And I managed to go and get her a temporary filling. But at the time when it was needed, I thought, what can I do?
Yeah, that's a tool though, isn't it? That's a tool, is knowing the power of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What a brilliant thing to do. So what a great challenge, just to find something and give it a little bit of a go and have a little bit of a test out and see what it does for you. 100%.
Yeah.
Your bowls, can you, I mean, we're not going to stay on for too much longer, but just to give a little bit more around how frequencies work.
Yeah, so I have 2 sets of bowls, and both are tuned to 432 hertz frequency, which they say is the universal healing frequency of sound. Believe it or not, music was actually written at 432 hertz.
I believe so.
And they changed it.
They did. I had read about this.
Yeah, they changed it to 440 hertz, which apparently promotes discord and disharmony to keep us suppressed. We won't go too far into that.
Have a little look. Research that one for yourselves.
Research that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine are 432 hertz. So it's really cool, actually. In Australia, the coral reef was dying. It was all, because of pollution and man and all the rest of it. So they played 432 hertz under the water to the coral, and it actually started to regenerate and come back.
It's just incredible power. And again, it's talking about suppression. It's something that is deflected, distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come across anything,
hey, look over there.
Another challenge for you. Anytime you think, yes, don't look at that, look at it.
Look at it. 100% look at it.
Just look and see what it is that you're being deflected away from. Look at this social media. Get yourself addicted to your phone and just scroll over there so that you can't see all these amazing things you have at your disposal over here.
Yeah.
Just, look at this power. And if someone tries to, I think my best bit of advice is if someone tries to discredit something, that's cool, that's okay, that's their truth, that's fine. But it doesn't mean you have to just buy into that like it's your truth as well. Mm-hmm. Have a look, do a bit of research, have an experiment, go and experience something and then make your decision. Yeah. That's called critical thinking and discernment. And if it's not for you, that's fine as well. That's cool. But just don't take what you are given on face value as truth.
No.
Because there's so much more to explore and to experience, and you're missing out on so many things that might be incredibly beneficial to you. It might even be life-changing to you because you are not being shown where these things are or the kind of power that they can have on you. So just go exploring.
Yeah,
exploring.
definitely.
So get out of the fear space that people might judge me, people might think badly of me, or, just try and have the courage to kind of step out of that space and say, well, so what? I'm going to go have a look anywhere. I'm going to do research.
Yeah. And look for the science.
Yeah.
Look for the science.
It's
there.
Yeah.
It's all there. Especially with sound.
Sound is, definitely.
And I mean, Reiki now, they have Reiki practitioners on the NHS. So it's becoming more...
Yeah.
It's becoming more acceptable.
It is, and more credible.
Yeah.
And I think that's in line with scientific research.
Definitely.
And it's frustrating, isn't it? It's full of frustration, especially when you've been a practitioner for many, many, many years and been discredited for many, many years and had that real challenge of and all of a sudden a new scientific paper, look what we've just discovered. You're like,
we
it's been around for millennia. You haven't discovered it. You've just realised.
You've just written it down.
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's having that sort of faith in something bigger than, and that's what a lot of us have, that kind of. You might not be able to explain how it works or why it works, but you know it works, and you're not going to question that. And I think a lot of the time, and not to diss the scientific community, because obviously I love science, but a lot of people I speak to in the scientific community are so focused on this measurement, and if we cannot measure it, it does not exist. And their whole life and their whole viewpoint is based on that fact. And then you have cognitive dissonance kicks in. If someone challenges that, it's like, no, I can't even look there because my whole life I believe this. And if I start to think there might be something more than my whole life was a lie.
It was like that it was like that gentleman that came to the woods.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, he's a scientist.
Yeah.
And when it explained,
well, bunkum, and then next minute it's like, can I have a
play? And he loved his sound bath.
Yeah.
And he loved it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I had a really good chat with him a while ago, to tell you. Again, we had this whole, and I've got lots of friends, and you probably know if you're watching, who are in the medical community, the scientific community, and still obviously take me with a pinch of salt and a bit like, I love that bit, but I'm not sure about that bit, Be careful what you say. Like, you just made me want to say it even more.
Yeah, I just want to shout it now.
I had a good chat, a little coffee catch up, and we got onto this topic. Come on. It's all about the science and the measurement. And all about the unicorn strokery, woo-woo, absolute hogwash, the blooming stars and all this astrology and all that kind of stuff. And he had the moon cycles on his t-shirt. All the moon phases. Nice top.
Yeah. Which one are you following today?
Nice top, but obviously that was just like the aesthetic. I found it in whatever shop. I don't know. I was like, you're wearing it, mate. You're wearing it. So I just find it really interesting.
Subconsciously, he was promoting me, see? He's in a witch.
You did that with the sound bath. You changed
I changed
people.
him. I changed
you
him.
Changed people. So yeah, I think there's still a lot for us to learn. There's a long way to go. But I think in terms of that kind of question around science, and I've said it before, I will die on this hill.
Mm-hmm.
We can only measure what we can currently measure
Yes.
with the technology we have. And really, we don't know shit.
Yeah.
And quantum physicists will back that up and say, actually, there's a high likelihood that it's this, but we haven't got the technology to measure it yet.
So we can't measure it.
We can't say it's not there.
Yeah.
That's so arrogant, in my opinion, of like, no, we know better. And as a species, we're basically vermin. We're awful. We're not rodents. We're awful. We just take over the whole planet.
We just pillage the land.
Think it's ours. Take
Yeah.
everything. I hate us as a species. We're awful. And then we say no, and we know everything, and
and that's it.
And unless we say it's fact, it's not. Like, pack it in. Open your mind a little bit. And I know it's a scary thought.
Yeah,
it's scary. Scary thought, big thing. I don't find it scary. I think it's great, but to the normies out there, to the muggles out there, it is a really scary concept that all of these crazy things that we've been told
don't exist,
storybook
not real,
stuff,
or
dangerous.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to grasp the concept when you start to think about it. It's much easier to keep that closed off because it feels safer.
Yeah.
But once you start looking into it, there's massive, powerful things that can help your life in general and just give you such an expansive view of how the world works. And I think it's as long as you're not harming anybody in your approach to what you're doing, or trying to indoctrinate people, or trying to force people into things that make them feel uncomfortable. Why shouldn't you just go and explore things that work for you? And it doesn't matter.
I think that's the beauty of sound. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
What your race is, what your gender is, what your sexual orientation is. It does not matter what your faith, what you believe. None of that matters. You literally lie down and receive.
And listen to sounds.
And that's all it is.
Yeah. It does the work for you,
doesn't it? Definitely. And even if you're one of those people that thinks, I can't meditate, I've got too much going on. My brain is running at 100 miles an hour. I'm exactly the same. Probably undiagnosed ADHD. I spangle from one job to the next, but we don't have to worry about that with sound because it will automatically put you.
A lot of people say that, don't they? I couldn't do it, and that's a bit of a resistance part there, saying no because my brain can't shut off.
I can't shut off. I
can't
lie
sit
there
in 45 minutes and lie there, but you can. I've never seen anybody that hasn't got an experience out of it. And people that might just want to sit at the back and have the right. If it doesn't feel comfortable to lie down, if it feels if your fear response at closing your eyes is that don't close your eyes, just sit there and just.
There's no expectations. Yeah. There's no expectations of anybody that comes, and I don't expect anyone to have any expectations when they come.
Yeah.
You just come open to receive, to see what happens, and
I think it doesn't matter if your mind's racing either. I think for me that's the beauty of sound. When I brought other people to you, and we've kind of done it in different spaces, you don't have that uncomfortable feeling of silence. In other meditative spaces where you really
quite quiet.
It triggers off your threat response, being looked at, being judged, not being able to do it. Am I doing it right? I don't want to just sit here breathing. My mind's racing. Now I feel scared. Now I want to get out.
Yeah.
You don't have that when there's a sound element involved because
that's distracting.
The sound it gives you something to distract yourself with, and it just it's a very different feeling to anything else. And it doesn't matter if you're thinking of a million things while that's going on. Because I guarantee you, your thoughts, even if you're still having loads of thoughts, they will slow and they will become something different.
They will, but when we, with me being a meditation practitioner, when we learn about meditation, everything is valid and everything is relevant.
Yeah.
And, we might have thoughts about what I'm going to do for tea tomorrow. Who has to be at what sport on Thursday?
What's on my shopping list?
They're all important, valid thoughts. They're there for a reason. But sometimes what we have to do is, we'll acknowledge that thought and we'll just let it go for now.
Okay.
And, but it's still relevant and you're not doing it wrong, even though you might, that's it. Even though you might think you're doing it wrong, you're not doing it wrong at all.
Yeah. People can judge themselves with the next person, don't they? And sometimes people will spend the first few minutes just eyeballing. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? But it's letting go of that, isn't it? It's your personal experience. And there is no right or wrong.
And there's no judgment either. From a practitioner point of view, if somebody comes in and they're snoring their head off, that's absolutely fine by me.
Yeah.
Or somebody that can't, wants to sit up and have their eyes open, perfectly fine. Because as a sound practitioner, it's not about how I play the bowls or my journey on that evening. It's about what everyone else takes from it. And, I never take criticism badly. If somebody gets up off the mat at the end,
really good with that.
if somebody gets up at the end of the session and says, well, actually, I didn't quite like that, and that bowl made me feel like this, and that was too loud, and that was that, that's absolutely fine, because every journey is personal to that person. And some people might say, well, that bowl made me feel really uncomfortable. And I say,
good though,
you've probably got a lot of shit that you need to get rid of in that space. Some of them
do when they're played together. They create feelings in your body that
do.
I love it when that happens. I'm like, ooh, what is that? That's something shifted. It's there for a reason. So sometimes the uncomfortable stuff is the magic.
I love it. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do.
You do, yeah.
I love the uncomfortable stuff because I know it's moving it forward.
It's healing, and it will make such a difference.
Definitely.
So tell me, before we go, what's coming up for you and sound in general? Tell me a bit about Melody Moon and all the things that you're planning so that we can start to promote things.
So, at the moment, obviously, we're moving into Samhain. We've just passed Samhain, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we'll be.
We are coming into the darker half of the year. So that's my time to take stock, really. That's where I start retreating.
Yeah.
So I have a few sound baths here and there, but nothing on a major scale. But next year, we're going to be pushing Melody Moon. So Melody Moon is a concept of providing sound healing in the community with multiple practitioners. So a few of you might have already been to a couple of Melody Moon events. We've done them on the beach, we do them in the park, anywhere that's big enough for people to come.
Some huge ones.
And it's just about getting sound, having access to sound healing where you might not have been before, or maybe you couldn't afford it. So all the Melody Moon events are free to people that want to come along. We do accept donations, and I want to be able to pay the practitioners for their time and their fuel for coming and doing the events for people. But anybody that attends can attend free of charge. There's no charge for that. So that's going to get a big push next year. I'm hoping to do 4 a year. So that would be spring, summer, autumn, winter. Only because, the practitioners that come and play for me, and for the community, they obviously have their own businesses, their own livelihoods, and I don't want to. That's it, and they're giving time at the minute because we've not got the funding in to pay them regularly. So they are giving their time for free at the moment, but there has to be an exchange of some sort. We talk about this quite often where. We need an energy exchange, whether that's a monetary exchange or
something else.
Yeah, so we're going to do a big push on that next year.
Exciting. It's really powerful. Multiple practitioners. It's incredible.
It was a concept that I saw from a lady in America, in California, and when I saw what she was doing, I was just like,
it is just unreal.
Oh my God.
So having it from all different angles. Lying down in the park was the last one I was at the park, and it was just unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we have the gongs playing at the same time, and the chimes and the bowls and the Tibetan bowls and the drums. Yeah, it's a powerful journey.
Special, really, really special. I love it. I love what you're doing as well, and just paying it forward, because you're a true healer. That's what we do. We want to do as much as we can for our communities.
Yeah.
We just have to survive in the meantime, which is a bit tricky sometimes. Getting the balance right, isn't it? Getting the balance right so we can pay it forward, and so that we can give access to people who need it.
Who need it the most,
be able to access it. So I love what you're doing with that. And we'll put some links in as well so we can follow the journey, and you can obviously get a hold of Melody Moon on Facebook as well, and just keep a track of that, and I'll keep sharing things as well. Anything else coming up your end that you want to shout about? That's your big push, isn't it?
It's my 40th birthday.
That's exciting.
40.
Welcome to the naughty 40s.
Oh, I never thought I'd make it to 40. If I'm quite honest.
I've really enjoyed my 40s way more than anything else.
Really? A lot of people have said that to me.
Well, loads of people at the moment are really stressing about age.
I
just can't give a shit.
I don't know if I'm stressing about it or I'm excited about it.
Be excited.
Be
excited. It's great.
I'm on the fence at the minute. I think when I get to the 5th of November, it'll be like, yes!
I feel like my metabolism definitely changed, but that could have been coordinated with lockdown, possibly.
Do you mean it slowed down?
Yeah.
Well, you're not promoting this to me.
Yeah. But I was 40 before lockdown, so probably not. It might be, but yeah. I'm not making it much better.
Oh, you're not.
However, even with that, I still prefer it to any other decade that I've had.
Really?
And I think it's for me because I'm kind of moving into that crone space. I'm moving into that. The kids are growing up, and I'm feeling much more powerful.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, kind of getting into the space where you don't give a shit as much, but you don't. Anyway,
I don't give a shit anyway.
I don't know what will happen next week.
It's quite exciting.
Like, what's going to happen next?
Joe's head's going to explode.
I just feel like that whole, you feel like that bit more wisdom. It's just, I feel different. I felt different when I hit 40, and especially now, because I'm 45, I'm well old. So I'll be 46 this year. I know, December. I'm heading towards the big 50. That's brilliant. And I'll be excited when that happens. I just don't, I think I have a different concept of like age and death.
Because a lot of people I know are like, oh, I don't want to get older. I don't want, or they're counting backwards.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand why people feel like that, but I just don't. For me, I'm lucky that I don't feel that way at all. I never have done.
Good job we don't look our ages.
I know, maybe that's it. We've got good genes. Yeah, that's good. The makeup on. I haven't got any makeup on now, actually. Oh no. Maybe I'll filter it and do some nice editing. Before we go then, after this beautiful little journey through sound, and we definitely will add some links on. Do you want to give me another song playlist? Is there any other songs that you like? Because you already gave us a really good Green Day song last time. But is there anything else that you like that just? Oh. And I'll send you the playlist because it's so cool. There's so many good things on it. Dead eclectic as well.
What am I thinking? Streets of London, Ralph Patel.
Oh, that's an interesting curveball.
So that's mine and my dad's song.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's
so
nice.
my dad will play the guitar and I'll sing it when we have impromptu barbecues at my mum and dad's house.
So that's got good memories for you.
Yeah, I love that song. Even though it's quite a sad song.
Yeah,
Streets of London, but my dad's a cockney.
It works.
Yeah. And he likes playing the guitar. So that one.
That's really nice. I love this concept because then again going with the sound thing, people are kind of putting in their tunes, and there's a few people on social media. I did the last shout out, added some more in. So it's such a nice community vibe of, and I've learned so many, and I thought I'd completed music on expert level. Because we like music in our family. But there's some songs that I've never heard of before.
Really?
And I've come across and I'm like, oh brilliant. Yeah, and I've found some new artists to it. I've heard some new songs
that's cool.
Yeah, and now part of my sort of feel good playlist, which I never would have had. So I think it's a nice little thing to do, isn't it? So thank you once again.
You're welcome.
I might drag you back in for more. Please
do.
To say,
yeah.
But maybe we'll do something out and about next year when we're out in the park, or we'll get some nice scenery behind us and talk about nature and the elements and things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a little demo of some things around music or around, I don't know, working with the elemental stuff, earth and water, and
that would be cool.
Doing some cool work with fire and
beach stuff.
Yeah, some cool beach stuff. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? So just give you a different variation again. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this epic adventure. And
you're welcome.
See you again next time.